Hey, what's up, guys? Mike Patrick. In this video, I want to talk about, or share something rather, about some scripture that I was perceptualizing about. That's I know that's not a word for real, I don't think, but you guys get this. I made that one up then. All right, perceptualizing. So sometimes, guys, I like to think about certain things, whatever it may be. It could be a movie, it could be a book, it could be music, you know, it could be other people, it could be anything. And I like to try to challenge my perception. So whatever my initial perception may have been, or if I don't completely understand something to where I don't even have a perception per se, a concrete perception of something, I like to try to perceptualize as another mental activity, another mental exercise. Just try to look at different things and define it and theorize pertaining to it, in different ways. So now with that said, there was some scripture, some wisdom, some knowledge that came to me earlier this morning, one way or another. And when I was just chilling out by the way, at this time I was at the beach earlier this morning. And so when I was listening to it, I was listening to something earlier that morning, and then I was thinking about it a little bit later on in the morning. And it was saying something along the lines, there's some scripture along the lines of where the Most High says, make a path for me, and I will bring you through the wilderness and or the desert, I believe, or maybe both, okay? And that's one of those things where, I don't know, maybe I would have took it literally, per se, 15, 20 years ago. And then, like I said, now when I try to look at things with from a different angle, okay, as I understand that in a lot of ancient scriptures, not everything is literal. Some things are literal, and some things are allegorical, okay, and you are to look at it with a metaphysical eye, so to speak, and it's encrypted. So with that said, there's layers to a lot of things as well. So something can be literal, metaphysical, okay, and spiritual, you know, all in one, and the message is true either way of looking at it, okay. So with that scripture, I was thinking about it, and I was looking at it like, well, open up a path kind of reminds me of, in order for you to be able to accept the Most High into your heart, and to accept God and be one with God, so to speak, and to become anew, all right? When, because we all fall short, and have a sinful nature, So in order to become anew, you have to open up that path. So whatever is blocking you, one way or another, something is blocking you. And then if it said, open up a path for me, that means that he's not necessarily going to open it up for you. You have to open up the path for him, which means you have to prepare yourself. You have to me, it spoke to me like you have to prepare yourself. You have to get ready. You have to make a way for the Most High to bring you into the wilderness, if that makes sense. So if you won't get out your own way, so to speak, then he can't bring you into the wilderness. He can't bring that, because the wilderness could be looked at like a change. If you're in a city and you get brought into the wilderness, the wilderness, you have to kind of, if you think about the Exodus, the first Exodus, when you think about when they had to go to the wilderness, they had to, and what's in the wilderness, okay, it's a different way of life than, say, being in an urban area, okay, an urban way of life. Now, I know back then they wasn't, you know, they wasn't as technical. Well, they didn't have as much as we had at that particular point in time in the ways that we have it now, to where, you know, it may have not been that big of a shock to them, you know, going from Egypt the into the wilderness, okay? Not like it would be to us now, if that makes sense. But it means also, you know, symbolically, you know, metaphorical. Um, it means coming back to nature also, coming back to simplicity also, okay? Um, you know, it's not much in the wilderness, right? In the wilderness, you just got what you got. You got trees, especially back then. I'm sure you had a lot of different, you know, fruit trees, different plants and things and herbs that was also in the wilderness. You know, of course, animals and things like that. So, if you live a certain lifestyle, everything that you need is there in the wilderness. You know, it would just be uncomfortable for most of us who've been modernized. You know what I mean? Um, and then, you know, it has its challenges. I'm sure even back then it still had you still had your challenges. Don't get me wrong, but you did technically, if you was able to open up a path for the Most High, you had everything you needed there, and to be able to kind of chill out and camp out, like it's the wilderness, and camp out. And so it's the same thing, guys, when you look at it from a standpoint of you make that path for the Most High, and you know, and you get back to the wilderness, you get back to the simple ways of life, the simple things in life, especially, you know, when you don't necessarily, when you live in turbulent times and things like that, and you don't know what you may have to go without and things of that nature. So it's best to just get back to simplicity, so you can be able to do with less if need be. You know what I mean? And being in the wilderness is in nature, and so it heals you, right? It heals you. Like right now, I'm out by trees, getting good oxygen by natural, calm, soothing water. Just looking at little ponds and if you had a river or a creek, anything like that, is something soothing and therapeutic about just even looking at the water and the patterns and the waves that go through the water, and just the you know, hearing birds chirp and just other subtleties, especially in the summertime that you can hear. It's just a soothing, healing effect, okay? And so, because a lot of us need to be healed, not just spiritually, mentally, or physically. I mean, but also physically. I'm sorry. Um, but also many of us need to be healed physically, and so these are some of the things that we used to do, and that some of us are definitely starting to do a whole lot more now, and it really helps. Okay, guys. Plus, like I said, it gets you in a space where you realize you can be happy with so much less, and what really makes you happy is being out in nature and being simple, and really just switching your values, okay? So your values in this modern day society and what we have been for the past however many years, right? You know, the values have been things, materials, and things like that, and we've been avoiding, and we've been neglecting the simple things that doesn't cost anything, that you don't make you have to hustle and bustle and stress you out or anything like that. Um, so when we get back to that, then you know, it just brings more peace and comfort as well, guys. And and yeah, and that's, I mean, and pretty much that's just like I said, that's just a perspective. Now that's not to say that is the only meaning to that scripture, okay? Like I said, man, different people interpret things different, and sometimes uh, people, it's meant, a lot of times things were written like that because it was meant for who it was meant for, how it was meant for them, okay? So it may needs to be perceived, that scripture, you know, or that text may need to be perceived that way for some people in order to help them out and give them a perspective and an outlook that opens up pathways, okay? Opens up pathways in in their mind and in their heart, so they could be brought back into the wilderness, back into simplicity, peace, and love. Okay. All right, guys. All right. Hopefully, this was a pretty good video, a thoughtful video, an insightful video, something to think about. Peace.